Summer is officially here, baby, and we can think of no better way to stay cool this summer than by giving back to others. On September 1st, Laura and I will be donating $1 for every rating and $2 for every written review on Apple Podcasts to a charity that you, our listeners, get to help us pick. Follow us on our socials at Impolite Society Podcast to find out more about how we're going to be picking our charity and to weigh in and let us know what charity you want us to support. But that's not it, because not only are you helping us help others, you also have a chance to help yourself. Not only are we going to be cutting a check to a charity on September 1st, we are also going to be choosing a written review at random to win a $50 gift card and some Impolite Society swag. So if you leave us a review, let us know by taking a screenshot and emailing it to us at rude@impolitesocietypodcast.com or slip it into the DMs of any of our socials. Fixing this messed up world is hard, but when you take a couple seconds to leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts, you can rest assured that you did something positive with your summer and you helped us improve the world $1 at a time. Thank you so much for listening. Now to the show.
You're listening to Impolite Society with Laura and Rachel.
We're going to practice, we're going to sing, we have a song, and then we're going to say the name of the podcast immediately, and we're going to say who we are, because I always think we forget that. Okay, ready?
Ready.
Here goes the song. A 5, a 6, a 5, 6, 7, 8. Let it go, let it go. I am one with the wind and sky. Let it go, let it go. You'll never see me cry.
Will you never cry? I guess we'll find out. This is Impolite Society with Laura
and Rachel. This is the podcast where we take turns asking each other rude questions that would not fly in polite society.
Especially this one. This one is an interesting one.
Yes, and it's very timely. Okay, so I have a question for Laura this week, and it's based on something that just happened. So, this past weekend and change, I went on a little mini holiday, as my girl Bridget Jones would call it.
A mini holiday?
Yes. So we went somewhere for the weekend, stayed at a little B&B. Don't worry, it was all COVID PC. We didn't do a goddamn thing. Stayed in our room, had food brought to us, the whole 9 yards. But, something I've begun to notice as I specifically grow older, travel can get a little uncomfortable. And that's not just wearing the masks whenever I'm in public or getting cramped into a little 3-seater plane. What I'm talking about is something that didn't happen on the trip.
Like a little stopped up.
Yes.
And not in your nose.
Let's just say my connecting flight to BM International was delayed. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about not being able to poop on vacation.
And that's my question today, is why the heck can't I poop on vacation?
It's not just you. I have many a story about this.
Well, do tell. That's why we got on these microphones and put on these headphones today.
Just to talk about poop.
Just to talk about, everybody's doing it.
Well, okay, the real story is that I actually have the opposite problem on vacation. I am letting it go a little bit too easily. I get diarrhea.
Oh, God!
But my husband and my best friend, they are stopped up like you would not believe on vacations. There has been numerous stories of trips for X-Lax and almost disastrous poop occasions.
Oh, God. What does that mean?
I did have a friend the one time that didn't poop the entirety of her vacation. I'm talking 5 days. And then immediately struck in the middle of Chinatown in San Francisco. And she had to find a public bathroom in Chinatown, San Francisco, which apparently is no easy feat.
I can imagine that those aren't the nicest bathrooms, considering, I've never been to China, but I've been to some sketchier parts of Europe, and I imagine it's one and the same. No, fun fact about international travelers, especially ones who come from Asia specifically, they don't use toilets like us. So when you do go to national parks or like big monuments, there are signs that tell you how to use toilets.
Yes.
Because international travelers will stand on the toilet and squat to go poo in it or go to the bathroom, and they end up yanking the whole toilet off the wall.
Yes. I haven't seen that in St. Louis ever, but I've definitely seen it internationally. So in Ireland and Paris and other parts of France and Germany, I have seen those signs telling you this is how you use a toilet. You do not stand on it. And I find it hilarious.
That's true. But if you're needing to stand on it, then you're already past the point of what we're talking about, which is what travel does to our digestive tract. So me personally, I'm a no-goer. I didn't realize it. I've always just been uncomfortable on vacations. I never really thought about why. And then somehow as I got older, I was like, oh, I bet this is probably the reason. And it comes from, I guess, a deep underlying shyness around going to the bathroom. I only, I got my one spot. I don't even like deviating in my house, which bathroom I prefer. Is that something you relate to or no?
Well, it's not for me personally, but again, because of people that I'm very close to in my life. I am a free-form pooper. Like, I have no problem. I will poop so fast, like, I'll leave a room and you'll be like, did she poo or did she pee? She probably just peed. She wasn't gone for very long. But no, I pooped.
No, I get that because that's the ideal, right? How do you cover up your tracks? Do you just not care about any potential sounds or smells?
No, I don't care.
Oh, man. Some of us walk in the sun.
If I'm in a public bathroom and like there's somebody else in there, I will get a little shy and I'll do the flusher, the flusher to like cover. Oh my gosh, this is like flashback because COVID, I haven't been in the office for forever. So I haven't had to covert flush in ages. But yeah, I'd sit, in the toilet and somebody else comes in, but I'm going, it's happening. So I'll do the covert flush to kind of just mask the noises a little bit, just to be polite. Fun fact, if I also have headphones on, like, it's like if I can't hear me, nobody can hear me, and I'll just go to town. I don't care.
Maybe that's when I need some noise-canceling headphones.
Yeah, because it's like out of sight or out of earshot, out of mind, for me at least. But like I said, my husband and my best friend have numerous stories about this and how stopped up they are. If anything, for me, as I said, I'm the opposite on vacation, like that low-level anxiety of vacation can cause a little bit of too much of a good thing.
It gets your whole body excited. Let's just say that. Every party is just raring to go.
Yeah, and I think it's part anxiety. I think it's part I drink a lot of coffee on vacation, and I think it's also I eat a lot of high-fat foods on vacation. There's a diet change going on. There might be a little too much of that going on.
Definitely. And you kind of touched on some of the reasons that you might also be getting stuffed up. Before we get into talks of what might be affecting our digestive system, I thought it would be fun to talk about our digestive system and learn a little bit more about how it works.
Okay, well, just quick aside, there is an awesome book, and I'm struggling to remember the name. Gulp. No, that's what it is. I read the book. Gulp. Adventures on the Alimentary Canal. And it's by this woman. Her name is Sarah something. Amazon is pulling it up now as we speak. She wrote an excellent book called Stiff, which is really interesting. But this one is about the digestive system. And I'm just going to do a shout out to this because it's all of these questions like, can you die from not pooping? And, all the weirdness that goes on in Mary Roche. I'm sorry. Mary Roche is her name. And
wait, how do you spell that last name?
Roach. And she wrote Gulp, Stiff, and Bunk. Ooh, I should read Bunk. The Curious Coupling of Science and Sex. Ooh, that's the next one. But anyway, very interesting book about the ins and outs of the alimentary canal.
Well, let's just say you should probably read that book after listening to this podcast, and then you can tell me all the things I'm getting wrong, because I did a 10-minute Google search, and then...
First page Google search, as we've all established. That's the research we do here.
Exactly. It had some sciencey sounding website, and I said, yep, sign me up. This sounds great. And because I only do first page of Google searching, I can tell you what the process of digestion is called, but I am not going to pronounce it close to correctly. All right, here we go. This is the segment of the show called Rachel Butchers Pronouncing Something. A key part of the topic she's talking about. I come TBT to necromaniacs. Anyways. It's called peristalsis.
Peristalsis, I believe.
Peristalsis! Ding, 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 ding. And that's the process of digesting. And guess what? It starts with these things that we are flapping. It starts with your mouth. You put the food in, and you chew it. Your saliva starts breaking it down. Then it goes down the hatch, which is your esophagus. And fun fact, you don't need gravity at all. You could be upside down and your esophagus will just wring that food into your stomach, which is the next stop.
Because it has muscles in your esophagus. It's very thick.
Yes, which I can tell you mine is probably super buff. It's probably the buffest part of my body. I
cut through one on accident one time when I was looking for the vena cava. It was disgusting.
Oh, God.
Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, quite fun after if your food doesn't get cut out by a errant embalmer, it'll just spend a little bit of time surfing that sweet stomach acid, and then it pops its way into the small intestine, which actually a lot of the digestion happens here and not in your gurgly burgly stomach.
I learned that and I was interested because I always thought the stomach was where you did like most of your absorption. Not true. It's in the front part of the small intestine.
Yeah, the stomach's more like a trash compactor, and then the small intestine's more like the incinerator.
Mm-hmm. Turn that shit into fuel.
Yeah, it's just got to get it into the right shape, which is, the shape of a turd, essentially. So then it goes into the small intestines. We get all the good stuff out. And then, if we're talking about like the trash waste removal, actually, I don't have a good analogy for it. But after that comes your big intestine or your large intestine. And this is essentially where it's just dehydrating it. So your waste is becoming raisinified because it's just sucking out the rest of the water and turning it into everyone's favorite substance, stool.
Which is also, I believe I read this somewhere, that your large intestine is the most efficient way to get hydrated, like aside from
drinking water.
Yeah, like efficient way to get hydrated is an enema, because your body is so efficient at draining water. But now that I say that, I'm like, it can't be more efficient than intravenous fluids. So maybe it's more efficient than drinking, but less efficient than intravenous fluids?
I don't know anything about that. I just know that sometimes on vacations, like an enema has crossed my mind because things are so not happening.
I had to give my cat enemas before. It was very interesting. Everyone in my life can't poop except for me.
You're just hogging all the pooping. Share a little bit of that magic.
I have been constipated once in my life, and I was like, this is terrible. I'm like, is this what you do all the time? I said to my husband. I was like, it's so painful.
Yes. And that is the exact ending part of our digestive system, is that large intestine and your colon, right? It's called the colon, but your sphincter, your rectum at the end is at the final holding place. Or if we're going to go with the travel analogy, the customs of your body airport before you finally released into the beautiful world around.
There are 4 parts to your colon. These are I was talking to Austin the other day about how my anatomy knowledge has really gone to pot. If you don't use it, you lose it. But I do remember ascending, transverse, descending, sigmoid colon. Those are the 4 parts of your colon.
So is the sigmoid part where it got that nice little bendy S shape?
Yeah, that's correct.
Does it also have to do with Sigmund Freud? Because it sounds similar.
It does sound similar. I don't think so, but maybe.
I know he was obsessed with anuses.
He liked the butt.
Okay, so if you're constipated, that essentially means you're not evacuating out that colon, right? It's just kind of hanging out in there. Nothing's flowing. You're not making any deposits.
And it's getting more and more dehydrated as you sit there.
Yes, which makes it in turn harder, right? Which makes it more painful when it does eventually make its way through customs. So constipation itself is when, you don't finish. It's stuck. It's not going anywhere. What exactly causes it all? I don't know, but we're going to talk about it a little bit in relation to travel. But fun facts first, because poop is always fun and your gut is fun. So here are some fun facts about your gut. Your colon, 5 feet long, almost as tall as I am. That's kind of fun.
I'm 5'5". How tall are you?
5'6".
Oh, you're taller than me?
I'm 5'5" 3/4", so I round up.
So probably like to our neck. Oh my gosh. Actually, like thinking about that is huge.
Yeah.
That's just your colon? That's not your small intestine?
No, your small intestine is hella big. I did read in my research that your whole GI tract, which is all of everything in your intestinal process, that word I can't pronounce, peristolis, that can cover a whole tennis court.
Like cover it or like border it?
No, I think it can like cover it if you like the square footage is that of a tennis court. If you're someone with a scalpel and a lot of time, you could probably figure it out.
I was going to say, you'd have to like split it out.
Oh, for sure, sure.
They're all, it's interesting. Your small intestine is all like wriggled up in all these like little membranes and fascia where it's connected internally. So if you can't just like pull, like in horror movies, sometimes they like spill out. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen. It's all connected in there. Like the back of it has this little fascia that connects it to some sort of central point. I'm trying to think of what that is, and I'm blanking at the moment, but it's just really interesting because it's all like coiled up very tightly, very neatly.
My skin isn't holding it in. It's all stacked on top of each other.
Yep.
If Marie Kondo, eat your heart out.
She would love it.
Every inch of my inside is accounted for. There's no wasted space. Except between my ears. Wah, wah. Okay, here we go. Another fun fact is the food that we poop out after we eat a big meal is not related to the food we just ate, even though a lot of people like to think that our next immediate poo is the meal we just ate, which it's not.
It's like 8+ hours or something.
It's actually 12 to 24. So that food, that pizza I ate in Washington, D.C. on our trip is still actually probably making its way through me a little bit. Because it wasn't yesterday. Here we go. Okay. But that's why we poop after we eat, though. It's called the gastrocolic reflex. So that means our body knows that we eat and it goes, up, better make some room. So then it expels stuff, even though it's not the same stuff, but it's anticipating and is getting ready for the next thing.
Your colon says, there's more coming, guys. We got to get this traveler out because we got more coming into customs.
Yes, because it takes a lot of time to check all those passports because one human has up to 100 trillion bacteria cells in your guts. And that is representing up to 500 different species of bacteria.
This is so interesting because this reminds me of something that I read in Gulp, that book that I mentioned from Mary Roche, where she talks about there's such a thing as like fecal transplants, where people don't have enough of that bacteria in their guts, so they literally shove other people's shit up their pooper, so they will get that gut.
Not always shoving it up. Some of it is they put the fecal matter into a pill and you swallow it.
Maybe that was it. That was what it was. I'm sorry. You're right. It was down the gullet, not up the pooper.
And it has been shown effective to help obese mice lose weight. You put skinny mice, gut fauna into a fat mouse, they lose weight. It gives all us fat mice some hope. Squeak, squeak.
Can I get a pill from you, Rachel? I need a donation.
Not me. You don't want me. It has nothing to do. This is just sheer willpower and self-hatred. It's my husband. I'll get some of his poop. Don't worry.
We'll all take it.
Because I saw not only does it help with metabolism, but it affects appetite too. So some people just don't eat as much because of their stomach.
Well, yeah, you just ate shit. That doesn't make you hungry.
You don't know. Fry it, it's probably not the worst thing.
I'm sorry, I'm really derailing your research, but I'm really having fun with this.
This is fun, I didn't feel like you had very much fun with the necrophilia, so I had to throw you a steaming bone.
I'm into
Okay,
it.
so
I'm
I'm
into your
figuring you out
steaming
and learning
bone.
your interests and your hobbies. So not dead bodies sexually, but poo, yes. Got it. But this also, because the gut fauna, what's happening in your gut, is passed down by breast milk. So odds are Charlotte is also going to be, Charlotte, your baby, not just a random person, FYI. Charlotte, your baby, is probably going to be a vacation diarrhea pooper because your gut fauna is in her belly.
Yeah, barely breastfed though. Like I'm talking
That's
a
enough.
week of breastfeeding.
Says me being a non-scientist.
Well, she's already displayed a little bit of Austin's colon, and has a stubborn. She's a bit of a stubborn pooper. She definitely has those hard poos like her father.
Genetics supersede the.
Yeah.
But yes,
fauna,
so there is
the
something
flora and
else
the fauna.
outside of the gut fauna that goes on with your intestines and your gut. Your gut technically has a mind of its own. In fact, they call it your second brain. So your large intestine has its own independent nervous system called the enteric nervous system. Did I get that right? Enteric?
That doesn't sound right, but I'm going to Google it.
ENTERIC. Anyways.
Let's see what Google says.
Enteric. It's the enteric
you're
nervous
right.
system, a.k.a. the ENS, a.k.a. your second brain. There are more neurons in your GI tract, gastrointestinal, mind you, if you live under a rock, and you just don't talk about your shit as much as Laura does, apparently. GI tract, there's more neurons in your GI tract than in your entire spinal column. Mind blown.
Interesting. Yeah.
They even say that
interesting.
Neurological illness might mean problems with your gut as opposed to problems with your brain. And that's like schizophrenia, depression, bipolar.
I believe it. Like, there is just so much things that we don't know about the human body. Like, I could buy it that these things are stemmed from something that we don't even understand.
And you know what? One
yet.
of the kind of like cures, right? The colloquial, what am I trying to say? Like the wives' tales.
Oh, now you're messing me up. Now you're messing me up.
I have verbally transmitted dumbitis. The colloquialistic.
Colloquial.
That thing. The colliculum. Yeah. That's a different podcast.
Curriculum.
The emperor.
Caligula.
Man, I could give George Bush a run for his money with my mispronunciations.
Strategery.
Nuclear. Did I say that right?
Oh, I have no idea.
Nuclear.
I say nuclear.
I say nuclear. I don't know. I said it wrong in a presentation once at college, and the professor corrected me, and she was like, nuclear, and I was like, nuclear. I was just like, what? I'm not hearing a difference.
Shut the fuck up, professor. We're Midwestern. We're Midwestern. We can pronounce it however the fuck we want.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just like, okay, I'll just agree to get this over with. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh, that they say that one of the cures for depression is eating right, like taking care of your body, moving.
Self-care.
Which is all tied into your GI tract.
Does that mean eating that whole tin of cookies that my neighbor just brought me may not only derail my weight loss efforts, but also derail my psyche?
Maybe. But that depends on how your gut reacts to it, because your gut manufactures more neurotransmitters such as serotonin, aka the feel-good hormone that we could never quite name right in the podcast that we did previously to this one. Serotonin is manufactured in your gut than the brain.
Oh my God, this is so validating, Rachel.
Good. Yeah, because you put the cookies in your gut, they might make more serotonin. So I don't know if it derailed it. It could actually be making you happier. Dr. Rachel's in office.
I'm serious. Like, that's really validating, because people are like, it doesn't really make you happy. Food doesn't really make you happy. I'm like, but doesn't it? Like, there's a reason why I do it. And it's because it makes me happier. So this is very validating. I appreciate this research.
Thank you. I live to validate. Hey there, it is Rachel. We still don't have any sponsors, but we have someone who is way more important, and that is you, our listener. So we want to take some time to recognize you, starting with T-Funk87. Thank you so much for leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts. I am so glad you and the wife enjoy the show, and that we have created something that both men and women can get down with. And for our hometown shout out, we're going to do the opposite of getting down. We're going to go up to our neighbor in the north. That is Chicago. We saw a uptick in downloads in the Windy City, and we just want to say a thank you. You are just as fun as New York City, but you don't smell nearly as bad. If you want to hear your hometown here, be sure to hit download when you listen and tell your family and friends to do the same. If you are as lonely as a single thirdlet in the big wide bowl, that is okay. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and we will be sure to send some love your way. Thank you so much for listening. Download, rate, review, and you might just hear about you. Now back to that filthy content. Having a happy gut is important for feeling good. And when you're on vacation, you want to feel good. But if you're like me, your gut's not having a great time, and all of a sudden all those cute bathing suits, those nice dresses you got, like, you don't feel good in them. You might not look as good in them. I think it's all in my head.
Probably all in your head on that one.
But you don't feel your best at all in general. You get a little bit more tired. Things just aren't going good. So here are some of the reasons that you may not be able to
evacuate the customs.
Yes, this is why your customs line might be getting plugged up. So you hinted at this, Laura, when you said it's about eating, like you eat more fatty foods. So what you're eating is going to be playing a role. So everything that's tastier isn't exactly like gut healthy all the time. You're probably consuming a lot more less fibrous foods and have a more tendency for fattier or stuff that just doesn't, it's not bulky. It's not bulky as it makes its way into that large intestine.
I also think that you probably are introducing, at least for me, because that's how I am, a lot of new foods when you're on vacation.
Mm-hmm. The research did point to that, but I never got new foods never messed with me, like, in that regard. So one cannot be sure if that plays a factor or not. But yes, it's different. And that kind of comes back into the second one. So I will touch on that again. But if you're also like me, I find myself, I am drinking far, far less water on vacation because we're on the go, we're moving around.
Constantly dehydrated. And if you're in Europe, they're like, what's tap water? You have to spend money for bottled water everywhere you go, even if it's a restaurant. And I'm like, bullshit.
Exactly. You're not getting water. And if you're like me, you're replacing what you would normally intake, water, you're replacing it with booze, which also dehydrates you and can impact digestion as well.
And make for a fun time.
Yes, you forget about your constipation once you're on your second glass of wine, let me tell you. And okay, here's a funny story about me is I've tried to self-medicate constipation on vacation with beer because I'm like, oh, you get the beer shits, counteracts it. So I have to, like, I'll drink Ireland specifically because you're eating a lot of fatty foods and a lot of bulky foods, heavy foods. And you're like, oh my God, I feel like I gained 10 pounds in 3 days. So I'm like throwing back the Guinness, trying to speed things up. Didn't work.
Hard
Spoiler
fail.
alert.
Hard pass.
All it did was make me feel 10 times bigger again. The Irish people, they're solid. Okay. But we talked about you're eating different foods, right? You're switching things up. Another reason you could be constipated on a vacation is just from the change of routine. Right? So you're awake at different times, you're sleeping at different times, there's time changes. Your internal rhythm is just out the window, thrown out.
Because,
like,
we all...
Forget about it.
Forget about it. Because we all have, like, our internal poo rhythm, right? Of, like, these are the times that we go.
Hey, I've not been, like, I'm not, like, clockwork.
I'm not clockwork either, but there's definitely a morning poo and then usually an evening poo.
That's so much. I'm like once a day at most.
Yeah. I have definitely inherited my father's bowels. He has this.
Well, good. You probably feel very, very light and lean.
Yeah, I live my life feeling so lean. I'm glad you mentioned it.
Okay, so you're sleeping at different times. You're awake at different times. You might not be comfortable stepping away. Like, you got a full itinerary. You don't want to poo on the plane. You don't want to leave the Louvre because you are gonna make I should have looked at more
Brexit?
analogies.
Are you gonna make a Brexit in the middle of the Louvre?
I was gonna say brown something, but I like a Brexit. You got your European Union, or your United Nations is looking to leave your European Union, trying to deposit that. Your Boris Johnson, just trying to get him out, and you don't want to step away from the fun to go do that. So you're also not really listening to your body as much. You're going to ignore those urges, right? Because you're distracted. Also, something happens on my vacations, more so the recent ones in the Corona days, but you might also be sitting a lot more. So I find that the sitting definitely is what throws it all out the whack at the get-go, because you're sitting for a long time driving, or you are sitting for a long time in a plane, which when you're on a vacation and in Europe or an international one, I'm moving around a lot more. But I do think that also helps with digestion to kind of make up for the ground I lost from being on a plane for like 12
I
hours.
think you're right on that, because that's immediately what I thought of as a European vacation. I'm like, oh my God, I walked like 1 billion miles a day and my feet were killing me by the end of the day. But that's different from a Branson vacation where, I'm driving 5 hours and sitting there and then spending a lot of time sitting at my condo, just like having a gay old time at Table Rock. So, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, and I am somebody who needs like a very consistent sleep to feel well. So when you mess with my sleep schedule, that instantly throws everything off. And it, like, I don't know if it's the airplane or like they'll thrown off the sleep schedule, but my stomach feels bad day one every
For me,
vacation.
it's definitely nerves. No, it's got to be nerves, because I can get that when I'm not making too extreme of a time change. Like, my stomach is always just not good that first day. Like, I get travel nausea as well. And again, I think it's a nerves thing. It's just like everything's new. Like, your body is kind of like, I guess, hyped, and it produces a lot of acid. At least that's what I've heard, that's what it is. That's why you get that nausea.
That makes sense, because the first time I ever went on a long plane trip, I threw up my McDonald's breakfast in the parking lot before we got there. And I am just tending to be a little bit more of a worrier in general, so that totally fits that I would be a little concerned about vacations. But
Same.
not so much anymore, but I still like get a little weird feeling as soon as I get on the airplane.
Same.
But that's good that you brought it up, because the next thing that might influence or cause you to not be able to poo is stress. And that's because traveling is freaking stressful. So we're going to the East Coast in the midst of a winter storm, and my husband was freaking flipping out the entire time. The night before, looking at the weather, being like, should we email them? And I'm like, no, Daniel, it's 10:30 in Eastern time. Like, don't email them. They're not going to respond. And he was freaking out the whole time. And like, well, we can't do anything at this point. It's just like, we're going to fly there, and then we'll figure it out once we land.
True.
And you know what? We did. But the whole time he was stressing out, he's stressing me out. I'm just like, oh. And on top of the stressfulness of your traveling companions, there's also making it to your plane on time, catching your connecting flight, where are you going to get gas next? All these things. Travel is stressful. It is so stressful.
It's awesome, but also stressful.
Honestly, this pandemic has made me realize, like, maybe I don't like travel as much as I think I do, because it's just like the whole time you're kind of uncomfortable. It definitely is more comfortable just to stay home, but I guess, good things come out of discomfort.
Absolutely.
Like, after you're constipated, it might be uncomfortable to give birth to your turd baby, but you feel so much better after the fact. If you're gonna laugh, you have to laugh audibly.
I'm laughing at your comments, so I'm just do what you will with this section.
That'll be fun to edit. No, just kidding. Thank you for leaving me this gift. Kind of like
a poo gift.
Yeah, that's something about that.
There's a little brown paper bag on fire on your doorstep for you to deal with.
That actually sounds about on track for this year. Everybody's got one. Okay, and then the final piece of what might be causing us to not be able to poop on vacation, it's a little bit like stress, but it's also a little bit different. It's just, where the hell am I? I'm in somewhere new. This isn't safe. I don't feel secure. There's my husband's brother. It's just a room over. And can he hear what's going on in here as many times as I'm flushing? Kaploosh, kaploosh. They're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Anyways, new surroundings is the final reason. Shy pooping. It's real. I'm one. You love ones. You either are one or you care about somebody who is. It's a real issue.
Okay, my husband is such a shy pooper. He would leave work every day at a specific time to go home to poo. And he worked like 5 minutes away from his house, so it was no big deal. But he would legit leave work to go poop. And I was like, that is insanity.
No, that sounds about right. I would do that. I would definitely do that over pooping at work.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Whereas I'm all like, whatever.
Yeah, I think it's maybe a confidence thing. Like, some people are more secure in themselves and other people are not, and I am definitely not.
I think it probably comes from my mom, who used to pee and poop in the house, door wide open.
Ain't nothing to be ashamed of here.
Everybody poops book. She took that super literally.
It's God's creation. It's beautiful. For a lot of us, it's not, right? So you have to be relaxed to poop. Literally, it's relaxing the sphincter muscle at the end of your rectum, and just letting everything just kind of fall on out. And it takes a lot of skill to be able to do that wherever and wherever. Because if you're not comfortable, you can't let it go, can't fall into the toilet bowl.
That was an excellent rendition. I like it.
Thank you. My hobby is making up songs with different lyrics and making them about the situation I'm in. Mostly about my pets, but today it's about poop.
Mine are mostly about baby. That's cute.
Aw, fuck your cats. They don't get songs about them.
They don't get
anymore.
songs anymore. Charlotte gets all the songs.
It's like the opposite of Taylor Swift, because you have to be her ex to get a song about you. But in this case, once they're the ex, they're just old news. Yesterday's litter. So this leads me to my final section, which we normally are muse. We do our philosophizing. I don't know how much philosophizing we can do about this subject
I think
today.
clearly a lot, as we've talked about it quite a bit.
But I did want to harp in on this, or focus in on this last section about being relaxed to poo. So in my research, I found that relaxation is an emotional state as well as a physiological response, right? Our body knows when we're at home. To quote the article I read, as soon as you cross the threshold of your home, your glucose tolerance, breathing, and hormones apparently change, in addition to a whole bunch of bodily adjustments. It's a suspected response to your house's unique conditions, like the smells, the sounds, the other sensations. Altogether, the stimuli prompt the body to get things moving. It's our body physically responding to the emotion of comfort, of familiarity. So it's very ingrained in us.
I would venture to say that it's not even just once you cross the threshold, but when you approach it. Because, again, I'm not a shy pooper, but I have had my family members, my loved ones, tell me 2 or 3 minutes from home, your body's like gearing up. You know what I mean? Yeah, you've gone...
Girl, as soon as the plane landed in St. Louis, I was like, things are happening. I'm back. I can only poo in this state.
Yeah, like you have reached home. And so I have this amazing story about my best friend. Oh my God, she's going to kill me if she hears me talk about this, but she doesn't listen to the podcast. Anyway. So
that's why you got to listen.
She has this story about how she was on her way home from some evening, and she's just a shy pooper like you would not believe. And she was on her way home and she had some like upsetting dinner. And like 2 or 3 minutes from home, like her body just like kicked into high gear. And she's like, I was wearing pantyhose and I couldn't decide if that would make it better or worse for the situation. But like, she seriously thought she was going to shit her pants as she like approached home. And she's on a date with her boyfriend at the time.
Oh,
like
God.
they're significant amounts of time in, right? But she's like, oh God. Like
She thought the pantyhose were like toothpaste tubes squeezing it out.
Exactly. She's like, okay, either this will like keep it in place or it will just make it worse and just make it spread. Like this is where her thought process
Literally
is at that
ringing
point.
out.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And so, but I've also had other people say that like, okay, once you're in like the realm of home, like you can see it on the finish line. That's where things start to kick up.
Oh, definitely. I 100% agree on that. So then my question, the musings, the poozings for today.
Poozings.
The poozings. Today's poozing question is, we obviously don't feel comfortable, a lot of us, the shy poopers of the world, we don't feel comfortable letting it go in a public place or unfamiliar place. So do we think that that is an evolutionary biology thing of like, oh, I don't want to leave my scent. I don't want to alert other angry human troops that I'm in the vicinity or any other predators? Or is it totally a societal thing where we're like, ew, poop is stinky and gross?
I think it is 100% both.
Oh my God. Here you are being rational and in the middle.
Well, I mean, evolutionary, like not only is it, you don't want to leave a scent, you don't want to make yourself aware. That's why cats bury their shit, right?
And my dogs.
And your dogs.
Yeah, they kick. Rearranging the whole park.
But also like leaving yourself vulnerable, right? Because when you poo, you're vulnerable. Your ass is exposed. You're sitting there. You're like looking around. It takes some time, So if you don't feel safe and secure in your environment, you don't want to let one go. I mean, there's a reason why people don't like when you're in high adrenaline situations, your body diverts all that blood. Like you're not focusing on your
digestive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's going to your muscles, it's going to your blood system, your lungs and your heart to get that pumping and blowing. So it doesn't want to divert that energy when there's a potential threat around. So that's the evolutionary side. And then I think the societal part just nails that home, which is why we have so many shy poopers, because it is a societal issue as well as an evolutionary biology. They're doubling down on that. Nobody wants to be the one that stinks up the bathroom, everyone.
There is it in there.
And so it's just compounds. So that's why there's so much compounding colon in the world.
Yes, I agree. I think it's our evolution not being able to adapt to our modern world. Because we're not in dangerous situations. Like, I'm not in physical danger if I poo at the airport or if I poo somewhere that I don't know a lot of the people. I'm never in physical danger. But our brains, as we get into, since we are social animals, we have a hard time differentiating physical danger and emotional danger. And that's why you have people having these horrible responses to performance reviews at work or when they're being cyberbullied. It's because our body is reading and responding to emotional danger or to social danger as physical danger. And I find myself doing it too. If I'm caught up in traffic and I'm getting angry, I can feel my heart start to race. I can feel that physical threat response kick in. I have to remind myself, I'm like, you are going to be fine. You're not in danger right now. Even if something's stressful at work, it's like you will survive this moment. And it helps. But it's just we have a hard time separating that. So if you don't want to get laughed at work, if you don't want your boss coming in, recognizing your fucking shoes under the stall door and starting talking to you while you're taking a dump, which has not happened to me, but she did used to do that. And one of my bosses would do that if she saw your shoes in the bathroom and you were just peeing.
Well, I feel like you can tell the difference between clearly someone is peeing and someone is not peeing. But I'm picking up what you're putting down. It is your brain really can't tell the difference between the different kinds of danger. So it reacts to everything like it's life-threatening danger. It's what is it? New school software on old school hardware. We haven't gotten there yet.
We are running modern age software on prehistoric hardware. So like our bodies,
Exactly.
and now I could use this for talk about anything from how we eat to our sexual preferences. It's humans, our mental evolution has far outpaced our biological evolution, our societal evolution, I should say, because our mental is part of the problem. But it can be everything. It could go to anything. But this is one case where it has a real physical impact. And let me say, I hate that word impact because it reminds me of being constipated. Because if you look up the definition of impact, it impacted. So you hear it in corporate buzzwords all the time. We're having an impact. And I'm like, oh, are you? You should probably get an enema. Sorry, you're having an impact. I hate that. As someone who worked in corporate communications, that's one of the
impacted colon. I like as I said, I had to take my cat to the vet for an impacted colon. It was a very expensive turd. I think it was a $1,200 turd that I got out of my cat.
Did you frame it or like something?
No. I just brought him home and I was like, I love you so much, you poor poopless little love.
And we're going to start giving enemas every day now.
Traumatic. The poor little guy. but also, my husband has definitely spent multiple days, not in a row, but like over the course of many vacations, has spent multiple days being like, nope. Like, I'm taking this X-Lax and I'm sitting here for the day. Laura goes out and explores the world. And comes back.
You don't have to give up a whole day. You can also like take it at night, and so it works in the morning. Because I've had to dabble in that as well. Or if you want to be like Kendall Jenner, you can get some of that skinny tea that usually clears you right out.
I mean, if people weren't so butt shy, you could just get an enema. Because seriously, that will work very quickly. But people don't like to stick things up their butt. Question, is that evolutionary or is that societal?
I would say that it's probably just human response, right? Things aren't supposed to go up in the same way. You know, it's just like if you stick something in the back of your throat, you gag, right? If you put something in your nose, you sneeze. If you jab your eye, you cry. I think that's just the way the world works. I don't know. Our bodies aren't. It's a one way, not a two way,
as I've heard said on occasion.
Enter only, not exit only. Like that's a problem because sometimes if you get impacted, you can get so impacted that your shit comes out the other end of your digestive system and you start vomiting.
That is not possible.
That is very possible. Look it up. Google it. Everybody, every listener, Google it.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. Oh my God! I meant to say exit only, but this has gone down a whole new path that I'm ready to explore.
Which is also here's amusing. Do you think in some alternative universe there is a bunch of humans who come together to shit and then they eat in little stalls in the bathroom? They're like, oh, I'm so sorry, I have to excuse myself, I need to eat, and they go in there nom, 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 nom. And then meanwhile they're at restaurants where they're like
I feel like this was a South Park episode where everyone started shitting out of their mouths. I have a vague memory of that coming to, and it also brings to mind a thing where I was at a women's conference and they gave away like a bunch of, freebies, and like one of the freebies was like a Twix bar, and I went into the bathroom, and in the bathroom there was an empty Twix wrapper sitting on the toilet paper roll. I'm like, somebody was shame eating in the bathroom, and I was like, this is so sad. We're at a women's conference.
It's a women's conference.
Somebody is shame eating a Twix in the bathroom, and it made me sad for womankind. But I mean,
that's the perfect analogy for being a woman.
Yeah, but I was also like, I hear you, sister, like at the same time.
Maybe she was just being bullied. She wasn't in a clique. And she was, you know how catty women are. So she was eating her lunch in the bathroom.
I don't know. But it was so impactful. I took a picture of it and sent it to my best friend. Like, look at this shit.
Oh, that's so sad. That is so sad. But we should wrap this up.
Oh, well, before you wrap it up, I want to tell a story about one of my spirit animals.
Okay, you're not just going to put another friend on blast about their pooing habits?
This was a person that I worked with. She's no longer with us in the company. She hasn't died. I don't think so. I think she's
Oh,
no
I thought
longer
she
just with the
died.
company. I hope she hasn't died. Lisa, I hope you're out there and that you are thriving. But Lisa was a very eccentric, interesting character. And she had some sort of like digestive thing, and she had a leave of absence. But when she came back, she had a little footstool that literally said, she wrote on it, Lisa's budget squatty potty. Exactly. Lisa's budget squatty potty. And she would take, when she was getting ready to go to the bathroom to take a poo, she'd take her little stool that had written on it, Lisa's squatty potty, and a little bag, a drawstring bag that had in it wet wipes and air freshener. And when she was going to the bathroom, that is what she took with her. And I was like, you know what, Lisa? I love you. Because you know what? Poo is just part of the world. And you know what? When you gotta poo, you gotta do what you gotta do. So you take your squatty potty, you take your wet wipes, and you take your poopery, and you do what you can to mitigate the damage. But also, hey, it's life. I've got to take a shit. So props to you, Lisa. You are my idol and my spirit animal, and I appreciate you.
And you don't take it and carry it and walk to the bathroom. You goddamn strut to the bathroom, and you said, yes, I'm human. I had a big bowl of oatmeal for breakfast, and guess what? I have a healthy colon. So suck on that, world.
Props to Lisa. Yeah, props to Lisa. Suck on that. You are my poo idol.
Poo idol. And so to wrap this thing up, I wanted to actually, give you something back, listener.
More
in addition to
the
all
poo knowledge.
The information and the entertainment, which are you not entertained? I'm baring my rectum for you. Oh, that's bad.
Rachel's presenting for all of us.
No, I'm just telling you about my bathroom habits and, all those things. But what it comes down to here is how to help yourself poo on vacation. This is my self-help to you. And we're going to build this episode as how to poo on vacation. And then y'all have to listen to an hour of us make poo jokes before we get here. Here we go. A, drink lots of water. It's something I always intend to do.
Because you always want to drink beer instead.
Or just like, I'm busy. I ain't got time for that. B, eat fiber, but not too much fiber. Because then you can get it's a vicious cycle. Also, try to avoid very fatty foods, which is what you threw out at the beginning.
Yeah, but fried is so good.
Usually it should help. It should
yeah,
usually,
that's what I'm saying. For me,
wheels,
it usually causes the opposite effect.
As all it does is make you feel gross and bloaty. 3, try to keep your natural rhythm as much as possible. If you poo at 10 a.m. Eastern time, set an alarm and go to the bathroom. Just kidding. That's not what it was saying. It was saying, like, try to, go to bed, wake up, like, maintain a rhythm so that you can, in fact, stick to your rhythm. Number 4, listen to your body. If your body is saying, ooh, now might be a good time. I might be feeling in the mood. Take it up on that offer. Go to the nearest bathroom. Maybe put your knees up and see if that helps.
Pop your squatty potty and listen to your internal cues.
Which, to be fair, I don't know why she needed a discount one. I was looking at the website. One of my sources was the Squatty Potty website. They're $25.
Yeah, but if you already have a footstool, you've just saved yourself $25.
Yeah, but if you would just have random items you can stack around your house, that you save
exactly.
yourself a footstool.
If you already have a footstool.
It could always be cheaper. It could always be cheaper. Number 5. This is a 5. I can count.
You started with A, B, and C, FYI.
I did. This is great. This is great content. Exercise and move your body. I know it's tempting to lay on the beach all day on vacation, but what people like in addition to pina coladas.
If you like pina coladas.
Which that is probably gonna help you. I'd say help with your regularity because there's a lot of fiber in pineapples and coconuts.
And okay, go ahead.
A long walk on the beach, which is, I feel like a verse in that song, that also is going to help you get a little bit moving.
If you like making love at midnight.
If you like making stool at midnight.
In the dunes of the Cape.
What?
In the dunes of the Cape. That's how the song. If you like making love at midnight in the dunes of the Cape. If you like making lots of poo at the dunes of the Cape.
In the dunes of the cave?
Cape, I think.
Oh.
Cape. Yeah, like.
That's a lyric that does not make sense to me. I don't know what that means. But a lot of lyrics do not make sense. So we'll keep rolling. Number F. Just kidding. I don't think I could do the math that fast. So the next item on the list. Be sure to listen to your body, which we already kind of touched on, and keeping your natural rhythm as much as possible. And then the final one, which I believe is the most helpful, is use aids when necessary. Because vacation only comes once a year. So, would you made a face like AIDS? You weren't sure what AIDS meant.
That's exactly what the
marital
face was.
AIDS.
Yes, that was exactly.
Dear God, just look at pictures of other people pooing on Google, and it just gets everything going. No, actually, it's pretty funny because I think that does, the more you talk about it, the more it gets your brain thinking about it. Because we watched a whole episode of Rick and Morty with my husband's brother when we were visiting him, and it was all about this pooing toilet, and they talked about poo a lot, and how this guy was a shy pooper, and I swear, like, everybody went to the bathroom after and disappeared for a while. And I was like, I kind of feel it too, guys. It's happening. Roll with it. So that's my list of how to help yourself poo on vacation, and I think it's important. So prioritize your BMs.
I would also recommend just drink lots of coffee. That'll really get the job done. There's a specific restaurant that I go to in Branson, Missouri. It's called Billy Gale's. It's a pancake place or breakfast place, and it is absolutely fabulous. But while you're waiting, you can have as much coffee from like the coffee pot as you want. And by the time I am done with that meal, I'm like, get out of my way, people. Like, I have destroyed the Billy Gale's restroom. I don't know how many times. Oh my God. Because it's just like clockwork, man. I don't know if it's the coffee. I don't know if it's the butter on the pancakes.
The syrup just
working its way through. But like, by the time I'm done with that meal, get out of my way, y'all.
Yep, that sounds great. They need to have, what is it?
Billy Gale's.
Billy Gale's. I need that everywhere. But I would say probably a good system, which nobody's going to do because it's goddamn vacation. You know, wake up early, drink yourself a cup of coffee or two, take a little walk, and then you'll have everything smoothed out before your fun day. But at the same time, it's vacation, and you want to live a little. Yeah. So then just, pop the X-Lax and just
wait for shit to happen, literally.
But don't stay at your hotel room all day. Come on, Austin. What you got to do is you take it at night, and you wake up in the morning.
Yeah, no.
He just doesn't want to go walking around.
I have resigned myself to so much when it comes to him on holiday. So Bridget Jones would say.
On a mini break?
Yeah.
Oh, mini break. That's what it was.
Holiday. But I just don't fight it anymore. And I'm like, you know what? You do you. I'm going to do me. And you can sit your ass right there.
Poo your way across all of
I will.
Right in the fart train.
That's absolutely correct. And I will do it gladly. Austin can sit in his stupid hotel room and wait for his poo to come. I will make poo come to me.
Exactly. Some of us wait for good things to happen, all the rest of us make it happen for ourselves. And that's the lesson to take away from this episode today, listeners, is make it happen for yourself. Nobody's going to come around and pull it out of you. You got to make your own fate and make your own farts and make your own fecal matter.
I love this message, and I'm 100% on board.
Who thought that this was what we would be talking about
today? This is a really fun episode. I really like the topic. Thank you, Rachel.
You're so very welcome, because it came to me. It was top of mind. I got a few more poo-related questions that we'll be talking about eventually.
I can't wait.
You know what? That's why you got to subscribe and give us a rating if you like this poo talk. If you want more poo talk.
Subscribe, rate, comment, listen.
And follow us on all the bullshits, because we're there. We're there and we're waiting for you. Do you know what gets my balls fired up? likes.
Your balls?
Bowels.
Bowels. How much wine have you had?
Come
How
on.
much beer have you had?
I had a tall, I had a milk stout
I had
and a
3
lager,
glasses
so
of
not
wine,
too
but
much. We are so on top of it. It's like it's a Monday
or
night or something.
Okay, y'all.
Well, I have a rumbling in my tumbling, so I got to get out of here. I think, is that my stomach or is that possibly...
Oh,
Is that
I
the
don't
drugs?
know. They sound very similar. I can't say exactly.
Yes. Well, thank you for listening. That's all for us. We'll see you next week with another topic, maybe not as smelly.
All right, guys. Chat you later.
Love you so much. Have a good night.
Bye.